Hi.
Hello.
Congratulations for being at this level. Wonderful.
Thank you
You
so
both
much, ma'am.
put your numbers down here.
Greetings, everyone. We are waiting for one more judge to start the session.
Just looking at your team numbers, mediator numbers, and number 37. Again, congratulations, all of you, for being at this level. It's been a hard fought. Here you are in the finals. Wonderful, wonderful. The client and counsel number 35. At team 35, may I ask you if you are the plaintiff or defendant?
We are the responding party, ma'am.
Responding party, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You can tell from the United States, plaintiff defendant. And our other team 50, let me see here. I'm sorry, it's like 2 in the morning, 2:30 in the morning here in West Texas. Team 59, you are the plaintiff, correct? Requesting party?
Yes.
Thank you so much. I think I see some other judges. Welcome, welcome. Pleasure to be here.
Everyone. Hi, Kathleen. Hi, everyone.
AC. Put a little bit of AC because I get too cold. But just put a little bit of AC. That's fine. And I am sick. My wife wants to put AC all the time. And I'm just like, I go nuts in because this here, AC is right on top of me.
Yeah.
And it comes out my office room. And it's not like in the other room. So.
Okay. Hello, Josephine. How are you?
I'm good, Hero.
Hi, Josephine.
Hello, Roman.
I'm sorry, last day I have to go to hospital. I have to take my wife to hospital, and so that's why I didn't come there last time.
It's all right.
Are you in Philippines, Josephine, now?
No, I'm in Sydney.
Where are you? Are you in Sydney?
Yes.
Oh, let's catch up this week.
Sorry about that. Sorry about
If you're in
that.
Sydney, let's catch up this week.
Sorry about the echo. Yes, I'm in Sydney.
Okay, let's catch up this week. I'll text you.
I'm sorry about Kathleen. It's 2:00 where you are in the morning.
Yeah, actually 2:35 a.m.
Oh my God.
I don't think you should trust me as a judge.
Yeah.
She's dedicated. You've got the best there, Ira.
Yeah.
What time is it in Sydney?
7:30
p.m. Correct? Yeah. Okay. All right. Your day's almost over. I'm going to slip out and very quickly get a little bit more coffee. I'll be right back, everyone. Thank you.
Okay. I think that would be better. That would be better. The team would mention about requesting or responding team also. So that would be better. Okay, that is mentioned on the background. Yeah.
Where is the background? I'm checking.
Blue and red.
Um,
we often miss, and the mediator is like mirror image. Is the mirror image. One mediator, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I can see now. Iram, you didn't come to Paris this time, did you? You going to Vienna?
No, not this time. I did not visit neither Vienna nor Paris this time. So I'll be coming this year. No.
You coming this year to Vienna on July?
In September. United Nations. UN.
No. Okay. Not for the competition, right?
No, not for CDRC. No.
No, I'm not going. Probably I might not be. I'm a bit unwell, so I might not be either. I'm not sure.
Okay. I think last 3 years I'm going to the CDRC for last 3 years. This time not going.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. If you can't go twice because it's too much time
Taking
wasted.
team is always been so much, responsibility. Going as an
Yeah,
assessor is always a fun, but
yeah,
being taking teams, it's always been so much
yeah,
responsibility.
yeah. Because I have never done that.
It is too much responsibility. For last 3 years, I'm doing that. It's too much responsibility.
Nah. Josephine, when did you come to Sydney?
March 2. March
Really?
2.
So soon?
Just recent.
Where,
And I'll
where,
go back
about you? Where about you live in Sydney?
Wollongong.
Yeah, far away.
Yeah.
But we will. When are you going back? You're not going back, right?
Yes, I am on June 9.
Okay, let's catch up before that then, because you're far away. Otherwise I can come somewhere in Wollongong. I have never been to Wollongong.
Oh, really?
I don't think so.
It's very beautiful. I'm coming on Wednesday to catch up with fellow mediators that are in their 80s in the town hall on Wednesday. Sorry, I'm
In
just
Sydney?
yeah, town hall.
Okay, then Wednesday we will catch up then.
Okay,
I'll be
will
in
do.
Sydney.
Yes, my dear.
I'm always in Sydney.
You are on your chambers.
Yeah.
I'll rack up to you there or somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Meet up somewhere for coffee. Are the parties already there, or the students, or just us?
I think they are already here.
Here together, and their numbers are
Greetings to
also
the greetings everyone. We are waiting for one more judge, that is Honorable Dr. Justice 𝐒𝐂𝐑𝐈𝐁𝐄, and then we'll begin with the session. Thank you.
Thank you for that clarity. Their numbers are already entered into the score sheets as well, which I think is fabulous. The mediators and the
I
highest
haven't
numbers.
seen this. I haven't checked this course sheet yet. I should now, I guess. Have it somewhere here.
So I'm so curious about the past rounds. How was it for everyone, the competition? Can you tell us? Since we're waiting, we might as well wait with
I
interesting
think it was
conversation.
okay for me. It was fun. I think everyone I met was really nice. Actually, I've had the responding party twice in a row now. So this is my third time seeing them, but yeah, it has been okay so far.
How's your neutrality going to be?
I'm trying my best to not think about that.
Okay, that's a good idea. Sometimes in court, I would have, the same lawyers over and over and over and over again as well. In Boston area, I went to court and did a lot of work in Boston, and I was like, Other comments about your competition? How was it for you?
I think it's been great until now. I have seen a lot of different teams interact in a very different manner, and yet every other round is something new that blows my mind away.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's fabulous.
Yeah, I mean, for us as well, I think it's been fun, but I'd say a bit hectic as well. I think this is our sixth round in like the third day, so there's a lot of negotiation going around.
It's been a great experience so far, though.
You have the skills to come to Texas. In Texas, they are crazy here. They will mediate for 24 hours straight. They will eat meals while they're mediating. I like 12-hour mediations. It's just crazy. Any other comments that anybody else wants to share?
I mean, 12-hour mediations are very normal sometimes. They do happen like a marathon mediation, but they suck. But I mean, with the lawyers, it's normally go for 12 hours and hopeless.
No kidding. Well, Texas is copying you. In Massachusetts, we never did a 12-hour mediation.
I tend not to do because it's not very productive productive because I split it into two. But sometimes recently I did it when start from 9:30 to 9:30 p.m. So it's 12 hours.
Oh my
Like
goodness.
because it's the pressure of the
Sounds
lawyer.
so
Sometimes they
strenuous. You
want to.
definitely need food.
No, actually, the best is to split it. More than 8 hours is very uh, taxing for the clients. At the end, the clients agree because not because they have want to agree because it's too much. Let's finish this off idea. But that those kind of agreements are always in risk.
Yeah. Agreements out of
But the
weariness.
lawyers think in a different way because if they all the barristers and solicitors are there, they just want to finish it because of their billing hours.
Mhm. Oh my
Like
goodness.
that. Yeah, but that kind of mediation is sometimes easily cost the client 50 to $100,000 sometimes. So
Mhm.
just that is too much pressure for the clients to finish it.
Oh my gosh.
Imagine the barrister, solicitor, senior counsel, mediator. It's a whole lot there.
Mhm.
I don't think they are the best mediations because if I plan the mediation before, I try to avoid that all the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would run away as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not.
Autonomy agency diminishes, hour 8, hour 9, hour 10. We're too tired to have our own autonomy anymore. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
no, actually, the clients are like, let's finish it. We'll like before anything.
Mm. Well, fortunately, with this final round, you're not going to mediate for 12 hours.
2 hours, is it?
Yeah, my private practice mediations are 3 hours. Like 1 hour, nothing gets done. 2 hours, people are close to, having momentum to come to some kind of one agreement. But 3 hours, definitely the way my style. I can have an agreement to build momentum at the table. We might not resolve the case today, but at least everyone leaves a bit happy because something positive has happened, and we can just reschedule, the next
Uh,
week.
greetings, greetings to everyone. We may begin with the session as the judge who was joining is not joining the session.
Okay.
With the, with the permission of the honorable judges, we may begin with the session.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Admin, I'm sorry, but before we begin, could you maybe enable the chat for us so that we can put any proposals or agenda on the chat as well, just for the benefit of everyone?
And we're so pleased and honored to be here as your judges, everyone. So enjoy yourselves, and we will be watching. Here we go, when you're ready.
All right, then. I welcome all the parties, both the requesting and the responding parties, to Asia Pacific Arbitration and Mediation Center. Do not worry, it's just a big name for a group of people who like to help others solve their disputes. I am extremely thankful that despite your busy schedule, both the parties are here. And let's quickly begin with a short round of introductions. You could tell us your names, how you'd like to be addressed, and a bit important on the technical aspects that do you have the authority to make decisions on behalf of the people you represent? Let's begin with the requesting party.
Hello, everyone. I'm Avi. I'm the regional director of Thousand Sunways. Feel free to call me Avi, and I come here today with complete authority to settle.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Karan Rajani, and feel free to call me Karan. I'm the counsel for Thousand Sunway today, and I'm here in an advisory capacity.
That
Greetings,
was
everyone.
really. The responding party may begin with their introduction.
Thank you so much. Greetings, everyone. My name is Deeksha, and I'm the project head of the State Infrastructure Development Authority. And I have any and all authority to take decisions today.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Arjun Mehta, and I'm appearing as counsel for Deeksha. I'm merely here on an advisory basis.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. I hope that both the parties are a bit comfortable, given that this is an online round. At any given point, if you or the mediators, due to some technical network issues, have any issues with regards to hearing us or audio or video issues, please let us know. We'd be happy to respond and reiterate if needed. With that being said, There's also, because this is an online session, you guys can relax. If you guys want water, do have water, coffee, Coke, whatever you prefer. And at any given moment, if you want to have a small break, let us know. We accommodate that as well. Now, with that being said in mind, I'd like to ask a very basic question to both the parties. How many of you have been in a mediation session before?
I haven't been in one before, no.
I have also been in a couple of mediation sessions before.
Great. Then I see that we don't have a lot of groundwork to sort of establish, but yet I believe that for a fruitful session, my co-mediator would be extremely happy to explain the basics of mediation to you. So with that, I hand it over to my co-mediator, Ulena.
Thank you so much, Abhishek. I'm Oneli Palipada, and you can refer to me as Oneli or simply mediator throughout this session. And firstly, I would like to thank everyone for their willingness to participate and engage in this process. I believe that is the first positive and the first step towards the right destination. And with that, just to explain a little bit about our role here today and what mediation is as a whole. Firstly, our role is to facilitate constructive dialogue so that you may reach a mutually acceptable resolution. We are not judges or arbitrators, and we will not be determining who is right or wrong. And while we manage the process, you own the outcome. And as a mediator, I tend to often refer to myself as omnipartial, meaning that not only am I neutral, but I am here to support both parties at an equal capacity. And in doing so, we as mediators act as independent and impartial facilitators of today's dialogue. And for this session to be productive, I ask that everyone here practices honest, open, and respectful communication, and that you do so in good faith and explore positive possible solutions. With that said, I do have some guidelines I expect all of us to follow, and I invite Karan and Arjun to keep track and remind your clients gently where necessary. Firstly, I would appreciate if no interruptions are made when anyone is speaking. Given that emotions may arise, accidental crosstalk may occur, but let's exercise active listening and be more aware. Secondly, respect is non-negotiable. Any abusive or discourteous language will not be tolerated at this table. Has what I said been clear so far? Diksha, Avi, do you feel comfortable proceeding on this basis? You can just give me a thumbs up and we can move forward. Great, thank you. Now, I want all of you to take note that this process is entirely confidential. What is said here will remain here in this virtual room unless both parties expressly consent otherwise. The mediation is also conducted on what we call a without prejudice basis, meaning that discussions or proposals made here, or even the mediator's testimonies, cannot be used in future proceedings, legal or otherwise. Furthermore, your participation in this session is entirely voluntary, and either party may choose to withdraw at any stage. However, Abhishek and I only request that before you withdraw, you take a few minutes to discuss your reasons for doing so. And I also understand that there may be cultural differences and nuances, and due to these differences, we may say or do things that one of you might find offensive. If so, kindly let us know promptly so that we can address that ourselves and move forward. And I would like to confirm that we have signed the mediation agreement and reviewed the case brief. But with that said, I think Abhishek can agree with me in saying that we only know a part of how this dispute has affected you. So we will try our best to understand your perspectives better. But before I pass it on to Abhishek to talk about the tools available today and the process, I want to give the parties a little bit of a food for thought. Sometimes a dispute forms much like a knot in a rope. At the beginning, the strands lie straight, each following its own path. But over time, small movements, a pull here, a turn there, can cause those strands to wind around one another until what was once simple becomes tangled. But when that happens, pulling harder from opposite ends rarely loosens the knot. More often, it only draws the strands tighter and tighter together. The only way to undo it is to pause, look carefully at how each strand have come together and patiently ease them apart. And mediation offers more than a pause. It creates a space where this knot can be understood and where both parties can carefully work to loosen the strands so that we can move forward together. And sometimes, maybe by untangling the knot, you find yourselves in a better position that you were at the start, because mediation is about shared responsibility, informed choices, and where possible, preserving relationships. And with that, over to you, Abhishek.
Thank you so much, Shonelli. It was a great explanation of mediation. I think the parties have almost gotten the grasp of the main concepts of mediation: confidentiality, neutrality, mutual respect, and this willingness to work towards amicable solutions. I just want to add two things before we move towards the more technical aspects of it. For a successful mediation competition to happen, all the parties and the mediators have to contribute a little bit. From our sides, it's going to be the neutrality aspect, as Onelli already mentioned. From your side, it's going to be to maintain that utmost trust based on confidentiality. We hope that none of the parties breaches confidentiality even once the session is over, right? With that being said, there's also complete power with the parties to call the mediators out at any given moment if they believe that the mediators are not being neutral, they're not being heard. And I specifically urge the councils to take note of this, because sometimes the parties might, when being emotionally when they're emotionally bringing it up, they might overlook this. I believe that the calm councils could then help with them. With that being said, a very important tool for mediation is the caucus. How this caucus works is that when there is a deadlock situation, which means that the parties cannot move ahead with any sort of agreement, or when one of the parties feel like they're not being heard clearly, the other party is trying to overpower them, or if they simply just like to add something and tell the mediators which they wouldn't want to normally speak in the general round, they could always ask the mediators for a private caucus. This private caucus brings in this additional layer of confidentiality. What this means is that what one party speaks with the mediator in a caucus session stays confidential and the other party has no idea about it, unless and until, of course, you as the parties give us clear consent for it. With that being said, I'd like to ask if any of the parties have any questions with regards to mediation or the role of mediators or any concept that they've not understood as of now.
Not from my side, no.
No questions from our end, Abhishek. Thank you so much.
Great, then. I think we can move on to the structure of this session. This is going to be a 90-minute round, including the mediator's opening statements. Within this 90 minutes, 15 minutes time has been allocated for the caucus in case caucus is called upon by the parties. Otherwise, we may proceed to use for the 90 minutes for the entire general round. With that being said, once the opening statements are over, as is tradition, we'd ask the requesting party to begin with their opening statements, followed by the responding party, after which all of us sit together and formulate agendas for today. Now, what are these agendas? Agendas are not some checkboxes that we have to tick and complete, right? Agendas are basically the areas of dispute that we'd like to address today. I always say the mediation is not about completion, it's about conversation. So even if we miss a few agendas or we don't have the time for that, I think that will be completely fine. Now, with that being said, let's begin with the requesting party's opening statement. And a simple advice from my side to both the parties: do not press on your positions, focus on your interests. A simpler version would be: do not focus on what you want, but why do you want it? Let us begin. I'd like to call Avi to explain his side of the position now.
At the outset, thank you so much, Abhishek and Oneli, for agreeing to be the mediators for today's session. I'm confident that in your presence, we'll be able to have a productive discussion. Thank you so much, Diksha and Arjun, for agreeing to come to the mediation table today. I know that despite our recent differences, we're committed to finding an amicable resolution for the problems that lay ahead, which is why I hope that we can approach today's session with a collaborative spirit. Echoing Oneli's statement, let's try and have an open and honest conversation with one another. Let me start by talking a bit about myself. As I mentioned, I'm the regional director of 1000 Sunways. I've been with the company from its very start. I was part of the founding core team. And the reason why I helped start this company 15 years ago was not for money or anything else. Rather, it was to help people in various developing countries realize their dreams of having access to developed infrastructures and connectivity. Which is why I want to take you, Diksha, back to the day when I entered into this contract with your predecessor. The purpose of the contract back then wasn't for me to realize any profit or for the party to gain any political flash. Rather, it was to help the people of Taos, to get the good people of Taos the gift of urban connectivity, from the capital all the way to the coast, to help them gain access to a world of opportunities. The project in the beginning got off to a great start. However, along the way, we did hit a lot of obstacles. These included a delay in access to land sites, civil unrest in the form of protests against the actions of the government and us, as well as a lot of bureaucratic delays. However, regardless of all the delays, myself and my team, we sat through day and night trying to figure out the best way possible. Which is why I hope you understand my shock and surprise when I first got to know about the termination notice. This notice, I must confess, has detrimentally affected my trust in the government, and especially because we were never given a chance to clarify our position or put forth our side of the issue towards the government. As a result, 1000 Sunways as of this date has been blacklisted by the government of Taos. And in addition to the same, we seem to have left this project in a state of limbo. As you might know, Diksha, in the infrastructure community, in the industry, reputation is everything. As a result of this unilateral termination and us being blacklisted, all of our investors are shaken in their confidence. Which is why, having said that, I want to find a way out of these muddy waters for the both of us. I need your support, the support of the government of Taos, to be able to reinstate this project and to help realize our vision, which we agreed all the way back in September 2024, and to make sure that the people have access to what they deserve, which is good quality developed infrastructure all around the country. Having said that, I'm just reminded of Oneli's knot analogy, and to just derive something from that, let's not look at today as a situation where it's you versus me. Rather, let us work together to untie that knot that lies before us. Karan, hopefully you can step in here now and talk about certain agenda points.
Absolutely, Avi. I would love to. Before I begin, I would like to thank Abhishek and Oneli for explaining the process of mediation so succinctly. It has put both Avi and me at ease. Additionally, I would like to thank Diksha and Arjun for coming to this mediation table at our request. To begin, we recognize that this is not just a commercial dispute, but one arising out of a project of real public importance. We also appreciate that this mediation brings together parties from different institutional and cultural backgrounds. In that spirit, I would just like to note that where there may be differences in communication styles, including gestures such as nodding, that should be understood as signs of active listening and not necessarily as that of agreeing. At the outset, our client does not deny that the new Now Sabo corridor project experienced serious delay, nor does it minimize the inconvenience caused to the public or the pressure faced by the authority. However, our client's position is that the present dispute cannot fairly be understood through a one-sided lens. As the project progressed, external disruptions affected continuity and sequencing. The common problem itself reflects phased access issues, approval delays, utility relocation challenges, local protests, along with abnormal weather, which all impacted the execution of the project. Against that background, our client's concern is that the consequences imposed, which is immediate termination, blacklisting, and invocation of the performance bank guarantee of $20 million, do not fully reflect the complexity of the factual matrix. For our client, this is not only a dispute about the delay, it is also a dispute about the proportionality, the commercial survival, and the blacklisting and termination have already begun affecting the investor confidence and ongoing opportunities that we have in Asia. At the same time, my client is not here to simply revisit and assign blame to anybody. Our focus today is whether there is still a practically and commercially viable solution. The requesting party's internal assessment is that the project remains recoverable with government support from you. Otherwise, acceleration would be completely unsustainable. With that in mind, and subject, of course, to any structure the learned mediators may prefer, our discussion today could focus on, I propose 3 agenda points. The first point could be to briefly discuss the events and the circumstances that have led to this termination of the contract. I propose a second agenda point to discuss a viable and commercially workable path towards the reinstatement of the contract with support and safeguards from the government. Third, how the parties may address the reputational consequences of this delay in extension of the bridge building. Those are simply starting points. They are fluid talking points. They're not rigid at all. We can go always with the flow of the discussion. And like Avi said, it's not us versus you. It's all of us versus the problem. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Avi and Karan. Just to briefly recap what both of you have said so far for the clarity of the table. Firstly, I'm again thanking both of you here for coming and engaging in open and honest discussion. Now, Avi, I understand that you started this company, you were part of its foundation, all to help people in developing countries to have access to developed infrastructure. I think that is something that even the authority of towers can stand behind as well. And with that, this project, the blacklisting, and the fact that there wasn't an opportunity for you to speak up and clarify your position has left you and the project in a state of limbo and has left your investors with shaken confidence. And I see that is very important for you to be addressed as well. And Karan, thank you so much for highlighting key areas that you and Avi would like to discuss today. Just to briefly go over that. Firstly, it was to discuss the events and the circumstances, what has led to this situation right now. Secondly, was the reinstatement of the contract, along with support from the government and the authorities. And finally, was to address the reputational concerns that came with this termination as well as the blacklisting.
Yes, that
Avi, Karan. Okay, great. Thank you so much. I think with that, we can hand the floor over to Diksha and Arjun.
Right. Greetings, everyone. And first of all, thank you to the mediators for bringing the parties together today and for creating a safe space where Avi and I can have this discussion in a constructive manner, and also for explaining this process of mediation so well. I think any and all doubts that I had regarding this mediation or any hesitation, I think now my mind has been put to ease. So thank you so much for that. And I'm also grateful, and I extend my appreciation to Avi and Karan of 1000 Sunways for being present and for engaging in this session. Before addressing the dispute itself, I would like to reflect on something that often guides the work we do at the authority. So early in my career in public administration, a senior colleague had once told me that when governments undertake infrastructure projects, they're not building roads or simply bridges or corridors, but they are building trust, and trust that public resources will be used responsibly, that all our commitments will be honored, and projects promised to citizens will ultimately be delivered. That perspective has stayed with me over the years. As public authorities, we are constantly under a lot of pressure and, balancing multiple responsibilities. We are custodian of public funds. We are accountable to the citizens whose daily lives are affected by our decisions. And at the same time, we are partners to private contractors as well, who bring expertise in technology and in manpower and capacity to execute projects of this scale. Navigating these responsibilities is difficult. And the new now Sabo corridor was envisioned as a critical project for the development of towns. It was designed to improve connectivity between the capital region and the port city of Sabah, to strengthen supply chains, and to support the economic growth that the state has been striving forward over the past decade. And in that sense, this project carries utmost significance, not only for the authority or for the contractors, but for the broader public. However, as this project progressed, a number of challenges emerged and progress began to fall substantially. This situation gave rise to increasing public concern and placed the authority in a position where it had to consider how to protect the project, the public, and the contractors as well. At the same time, we recognize that the large-scale infrastructure projects are complex and they're big undertakings, and they involve coordination between multiple institutions, a lot of regulatory processes involved, environmental conditions also come into the picture, and local communities as well, right? And in such environments, delays and operational challenges can sometimes arise from factors that extend beyond the control of one party. It is precisely because of this complexity that we are here today, and I'm sure that mediation provides an opportunity for both of us to step back from rigid positions and always only focus on solutions. And from the authorities' perspective, the ultimate objective has been clear, and that is to ensure that this important corridor is completed efficiently and to have a constructive discussion with RV so that we could discuss on ways where both of our interests could be met. And we approach today's mediation in that spirit. And we hope today's dialogue helps us to openly examine the challenges that we are facing today. And Arjun, please take over.
Certainly, Diksha. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Arjun Mehta, and I'm here as a counsel for Diksha. I'll be assisting Diksha in today's mediation session and be advocating for her interests at this table. As stated before, my role here is merely advisory in nature. It is not really to dwell on the legalities, since we all know that mediation is a client-centric process. Therefore, I stand here today only to ensure that any solution that we reach is feasible and legally sound. At the very outset, I would like to thank the mediators, 𝐒𝐒𝐿𝐼 and Abhishek, for facilitating this process, and also to acknowledge the representatives of 𝐒𝐤𝐁𝐄, that is Avi and Karan, for participating in today's mediation session. We really appreciate your initiative to initiate this session. That's why we are here to put forth our concerns and pay heed to any hindrances that you might be facing. You see, it is very imperative to understand how critical this infrastructure project was. This was initiated to improve the connectivity between the capital and the port city of Taos. And when there were delays caused due to several factors, the consequences were unimaginable. There was disruption to the freight movement, there were losses to the exporters, there was congestion affecting thousands of citizens. As construction progress, as stated by Diksha, we face several challenges regarding the project timeline, including phased site access, coordination requirements, and weather conditions. At the same time, we as the authority observed that the project had significantly fallen behind its anticipated milestones, which created a serious public inconvenience and concerns regarding the timely delivery of the corridor, which was of utmost importance to begin with. However, we approached this mediation session with a forward-looking perspective. Our focus here is not really to indulge in blame game, but to identify a constructive path that enables us to the completion of this infrastructure project, while also addressing the concerns of both the parties. So from the authorities' perspective, the discussion today could focus on the following issues, or rather the agendas are: the review of the project process and the factors that contributed to this delay, discussions on the circumstances surrounding the termination decision, and exploring practical pathways for completion of this corridor project. Now, obviously, these are not rigid agendas. These are certainly subject to changes made by the mediators and the requesting party as well. Having said that, I really hope we have a collaborative session today and reach a middle ground. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Diksha and Arjun, for that wonderful opening statement. It's really great to see that both of you have poured your hearts out and have not held back. That is one of the key aspects of mediation. Exchange of information is critical, is very critical. With that being said, I just like to summarize your position in a few points for both the mediators and the requesting party to just make sure that we're all on the same leveling field. So, for you and for the government of Taos, this project is not just an economical or a political thing, but it's more about the public and their access. It's about development for your nation. And due to certain reasons, I don't think I'd like to delve into them right now, but this project, this very important project, had come to a slight halt and delay, which had caused inconvenience to the public, which I believe is one of your foremost concerns. And you do not come here to blame game. Rather, you're here to look towards the future and focus on reviewing of why this delay was caused in the first place. How is it that we came to these circumstances as of now, following which you'd like to discuss with Avi for the termination of the contract. And towards the end, which I believe could be a goal for both the parties, is the reinstatement and making sure that this project is delivered to the public as it was promised. If there's anything that you think I've missed, please add on to it.
No, Abhishek, you put it succinctly.
Great. With that being said, now I'd like to invite my co-mediator, the requesting party, and the responding party to sit together and formulate the agendas for today. From my side, what I believe is that both the parties here are very eager to understand the chain of events that has led to the circumstances. Both the parties believe that there should be certain discussions around the termination of Avi and the as company Thousand Somewhere. Mr. Avi has brought up a concern about the reputational harms. I believe, Oneli, do you have something to add to it?
Definitely, Abhishek. Actually, from listening to Avi and Diksha and Karan and Arjun, I did kind of formalize a list myself, and maybe in the interest of time, you can hear me out and see whether you agree and we're on the same page. So, what I thought of as one point was the project or the contract, and this would include discussions on contractual provisions, the project timeline, etc. And secondly, finances, which would include payments and all of the nitty-gritties in that aspect. And then reputation, which would address the termination and the blacklisting. And finally, future collaboration. Now, I understand that maybe since I believe that we can combine contract and finances into one titled project, because I think that was brought out as combined interest from both sides. So just to repeat, the project, the reputation, and then the future. Is Avi and Diksha amenable to that? And then I can put it on the chat if you are.
From my side, I think I'm amenable to that. But just to confirm, the agenda structure for this conversation moving forward would then be firstly a discussion on the circumstances that led to this termination. Second, as you mentioned, you'd be clubbing the financial aspect and the contractual aspect under the title of project. And the third being the reputational aspect and any future facing issues that we need to discuss. Is my understanding correct?
Quite. I would like to emphasize that there's no particular order of how this agenda has to go. Whatever both of you, Diksha and Avi, see is fit, we can definitely address first. Just to emphasize what I've repeated, let me put it on the chat so it is easier for you to understand where we're at right now. Just 1 second.
Just a second, Ellie, before we finalize the thing. Diksha, do you want to add something to this, or do you have any contentions with how this is going on? Or are you fine with it so that we can move ahead with your consent?
I'm fine with the mediators. Thank you so much.
Great.
We can definitely move
Oneli,
on.
thank you so much. Oneli, I guess you can send it on the chat box so that it's clearly out there for all of us.
I think we can begin with just a brief discussion about the events that unfolded.
Yeah.
Right.
So while Oneli is putting the agendas on the chat box, I believe that the requesting party, if since they've put it forward, they can begin with explaining how we've led to these circumstances. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you, Abhishek and Onelli. Diksha, I heard in your opening remarks, you mentioned the immense public pressure that the authority is often under. And I completely empathize with you. I can understand when you're working with public funds, you always have a set of eyes looking at the kind of work you do. And I'm quite empathetic with that, which is why I do want to have a greater understanding of the kind of situation the authority was in when this termination notice was sent to us. So maybe if you could briefly talk a little bit about what sort of what went behind closed doors, when this notice of termination was sent and what were the factors surrounding it would be great, right, Karan?
Before that, I'd just like to add one more thing. I have another clarificatory question in regard to this as well. My question is that since the action taken by the government was to blacklist this company, and I know I don't want to get into the law on this and the contractual clauses, and I can't wait to get to solutions, but I just want some clarity before we can agree on any solution with regard to the rationale behind the blacklisting. Since there was it was very clear and out in the open that the delays were caused due to the public protests and the approvals that were sought by the internal government. There was a delay due to that, and that forms part of the force majeure clause of the contract. So, considering these circumstances, why was such a harsh decision to blacklist my client's company from any further contracts taken? Again, this is not to blame game. I would like to say that again. It's just to understand the process.
First of all, hi Avi. It's great to see you here. I hope you're doing well. And that was a touching opening statement that you said. And I'm sorry that you are in that vulnerable position, right? With that being said, if throughout this session, if I come off as rude or intimidating because, it's a nervous setting that we are in and I have a lot of thoughts in my head, please feel free to tell me. And I've told Arjun to also put me on the right track. So I agree with you when we say that let's leave all the nitty-gritties behind it and all the formal procedure behind us and first have a discussion regarding our thoughts. Let's just put our thoughts on the table, right? So from the authorities' perspective, the new now Sabo corridor was intended to be this flagship infrastructure project, and it is designed to strengthen connectivity between the capital region and the port city. So as this construction moved forward, the project began encountering a range of challenges, and some stretch of land had already been handed to you in phases, and certain administrative clearances took longer than anticipated. And there were instances of local disruption as well, adding to the rains. And these factors, I believe, undoubtedly created complications for the overall sequencing of the works, right? Of the work that we had taken up. And this growing gap between the expected progress and the actual progress that was supposed to happen led to increasing public concern. And it became evident that the pace of the construction was falling significantly behind the milestones that we had decided upon. So, under these circumstances, the authority had to make these decisions with the objective of protecting the public and because we were in a situation of urgency. And I would like to know from your perspective and among the various delays that occurred, which do you believe had the most significant impact on the project's progress?
Right. Just to add on to Diksha's statement or reasoning, and just to put forth a few more questions to Avi and Karan. One of the causes for delay mentioned by Avi and Karan was the phased assignment of land, I believe. What we'd like to ask is, was the Thousand Sunway company not aware of this phased assignment? Because I apologize for getting into the legal jargons, but this was something that was written into the agreement that there would be phased allocation of land. So we don't see how that was something that could not have been predicted by the company and could have and taken reasonable steps. And coming to the aspect of blacklisting and termination of contract, Karan, I think I even said it in the beginning. These delays that would happen upon upon an auditing, we realized that instead of the 50% completion of project, the project had only been completed to 27%. So this was the delay, the difference in what had to be achieved and what was achieved was oceans apart, which is why the consequences of these delays also were large. As stated, there was disruption in the freight movement. Exporters faced a lot of losses due to this delays, and there was congestion that was affecting thousands of citizens. So, as the authority, the only pragmatic step we could think of is to immediately terminate this contract and to ensure that the company is blacklisted so that this does not have a ripple effect over across the country.
Right, Diksha and Arjun.
Avi, before you answer, I believe there was a lot of
Lot of
information put on the
exactly.
table.
That was what
Yeah.
I was going to ask as well.
So let me briefly break down the different issues that both of you have brought to the table. And after that, it would be helpful, Arjun, if you could tell me which clause exactly you were referring to when you were talking about the phased access to the sites. I think that would help us put on ourselves on the same page.
Certainly, Anneli. I was referring to clause 12 of the agreement.
Right. This is what were the premises? I believe that was on termination, if I'm not wrong, clause 12. Just to double check, maybe that might help. Site handover, right. Thank you so much. I think I can keep that in mind and quickly address the different problems that we have brought today. So I think just to briefly say, I'll start with what Thousand Sunway has said so far in terms of the issues that they faced, and then I'll move on to what the authority has said so far. So one of the key issues that Thousand Sunway has brought forward was mainly that there was a lot of operation and logistical difficulties in carrying out the work. Mainly, this was due to the fact that there was phase site access, delayed land acquisition, and which was required for construction. And they also mentioned utility and relocation delays, as well as finally administrative and bureaucratical delays. And what the authority mentioned was that there were, again, operational and logistical concerns in carrying out the work on Thousand Sunway's part, that the work advanced in an inefficient way and construction wasn't really managed efficiently. And because of this, there was severe congestion and traffic and disruption caused to the public. And finally, that the operational inefficiency was overall adequate enough for the authority to feel that it was absolutely vital that the contract be terminated for the benefit of the public and their responsibility to the public as well. Diksha, Avi, maybe if there's anything that you want to add to what I have said, please go ahead. And Abhishek, if there's anything you want to add as well, please
Not
do.
as of
Only
now
I-
from my end, but if of course Diksha has nothing else to add, maybe I can get back to answering the three questions that Diksha and Arjun had posed, because I feel like that would allow us to move forward as well. And of course, Abhishek, I think you were saying something as well.
Yeah, I was just saying that only that I believe that that was a very crisp and beautiful summary of the entire thing that was said. I believe that we could just move ahead because I don't have anything to add. We don't want the session to just drag on. So unless until both the parties have anything left, we can just move with that away.
Right. So just what I understood from Diksha, Arjun, and even Oneli's summary was the fact that Diksha and Arjun, you posed about three questions in front of me. Diksha, you asked what caused the delays from my perspective, and Arjun, you'd asked a clarification on give an explanation for the delay for the decision of blacklisting, as well as a clarification of whether we were aware of the phased assignment or not. Just to clarify the phased assignment bit, it wasn't that the phased assignment was the issue in itself. It was the fact that due to bureaucratic delays, we had delay in access to those parcels of land that were assigned through this phased assignment, which I think overall caused added to the delay. But I think, Diksha, we seem to be getting ourselves caught in a spiral. We seem to be going round and round talking about what caused the delay, what didn't. And I feel like at some juncture, we're here trying to assign blame to what was the core delay. I think at this point, it's an understood fact that there were a lot of delays, and all of them cumulatively led to the situation in which we are. Right, Karan?
Absolutely. I think now that I've asked you these questions, I think we understand your position regarding to why such a disproportionate and harsh measure was taken to blacklist this company. But now that we've moved past that, I think we should move further and discuss how the reinstatement plan or how the project work could continue so that we can get to the solutions aspect.
So just to be,
I would,
no, you can go ahead.
yeah, Avi, I would like to clear my stance that I'm not blaming anyone. I'm not blaming you or indulging in any sort of ill intention here, right? I just explained certain perspectives from the side of the authority. And with that being said, I agree that we can move on to reinstatement procedures. It's just that to summarize whatever I said, if it was too long, it's just that the authority has a lot of responsibilities with regards to public funds, and even the business and export activities are very much dependent on this highway, right? We had certain commitments to a lot of governmental authorities. We had a lot of meetings. So I was just explaining my authority. If
Right, Diksha.
Right. Just to due to paucity of time, let's just delve right into the reinstatement aspect. So Diksha and I were just discussing about that, and the authority is ready for a reinstatement sort of reinstatement policy or like agreement if the Thousand Sunway company could assure certain things, which are that you'd employ more manpower, more machinery, and ensure that this project that was initially taken up for such a crucial aspect of our of the country is ensured that it is completed on time. That is the 36 months deadline that we had originally agreed upon.
Again, we're just proposing the solution, so we would like to discuss
Right.
what you
Of
have.
course, Diksha.
This slight doubt that I have, Diksha, this 36 months period, is it a fresh period or is it continuing from where the project was left on?
It is continuing from where the project was left on.
Okay, thank you for this.
Right, Diksha. I appreciate your enthusiasm for moving forward with the negotiation as well. And, I'm glad that we are discussing the reinstatement, because I think we do have a similar interest there. Just as you want this project to be up and running as soon as possible for the people of Towers, I think even from the perspective of my investors in my company, I would want this to get on track as soon as possible. So I think with respect to the proposal you put forth, I let Karan handle, the nitty-gritties and the technicalities of it.
I think to crystallize what Avi said and the interest that we have with regard to this, I sense that the authority is concerned about transparency and accountability. So we are prepared to work under a more disciplined, transparent milestone structure, provided that the site conditions and institutional support are also made reliable. If we are concerned about accountability here, we are open to a reinstatement model with a kind of a joint monitoring mechanism and revised milestones where we can both monitor the progress that is made and have discussions at periodic intervals. How does that sound?
Certainly, Karan, the joint committee where the members consist of members from the contractors or from your side, and engineers from the authorities side, and the financial institution that's supporting us, members from there as well. All of them can come together and form this joint committee, which would look after this project completion. So just to make sure that we're on the same side of the page, the company is ready to put forth a more efficient, mechanism in terms of manpower or machinery utilized, or the duration of work in in exchange of institutional support from the authority side.
Right. Just to clarify on that point, and I think expand a bit more on what Karan said. Of course, the joint committee that we talked about, I think for the structure of the joint committee, we can maybe have 2 members nominated by the government and the authority, 2 members nominated by the company, which is Thousand Sunways. And for objective understanding of the milestone tracking, we can have an independent assessor as well, an independent expert who can help sort of break the deadlock, if any, if it exists. But in addition to this joint committee that was mentioned, we are ready to go forth with an accelerated planning and completion of this project, provided, as you mentioned, with institutional planning and institutional support. What exactly this institutional support from the government of Towers would entail, I'll let Karan handle and explain that.
So what exactly the institutional support would entail would be 3 things. We would need expedited clearances, law and order assistance, because, for example, the recent delays occurred because of the farmer protests that happened. And the third thing is predictable payment flow. I know there's a lot of information, but I'd just like to add another point to solidify our interests here. Considering the situation that has unfolded recently, we would need to strengthen the clauses in the contract in case a situation like this occurs again. Since we've already suffered enough reputational damage, we don't want another situation where if there is delay for reasons that are not attributable to us, it should not be an event where we are blacklisted again. And I hope you can understand where our concerns stem from. And if that could be something that we work out as well, along with these 3 things that I pointed out.
Karan, for the benefit, I believe that I didn't properly hear your second point after expedited
clarify.
clearances. Could you
I
just
think
repeat
also,
that for me?
I think Karan will. I think we're getting a little lost because of a lot of factors being thrown around. So just for the benefit of both Diksha and myself, maybe we first talk about the accelerated planning and institutional support as one bucket together and leave the joint committee for another discussion after this is agreed, if that's okay with Diksha.
Avi, I believe that maybe what we can do, I agree with you completely, but maybe what we can do is right just after you clarify what that missed point was, maybe I'll quickly just summarize what you've said so that I think Diksha and Arjun can also better clarify their positions.
Okay, so the 3 points I put forth were: 1, expedited clearances, which I think you noted down. The second was law and order assistance, since the protests were disrupting the delays this time. And the third thing is the predictable payment flow.
Right. Thank you so much. I think I've got it down.
That I have, Karan, before Oneli goes to summarize. You had mentioned the term revised milestones. Is this the same part of this new new thing that we're looking forward to, or is it you revising the older 36 months period?
No, I'm talking about milestones, as in not the entire duration of the contract. Suppose we were working with a payment plan for every 10%, 20% of the project completion, we were getting additional payments. So maybe we can have that at 5 to 8% so that we can both jointly monitor the progress.
Part of this new arrangement is what?
Yes. I'm proposing it.
I'm very sorry. I just wanted to clarify that doubt. Yes, Oneli, all over to you now.
Right. Just to quickly go through what the proposals that Avi and Karan have brought forward. Maybe Arjun, you can also take note of this just to benefit yourself as well. Firstly, it was that there be an accelerated plan, and they also suggested that they can function in a more disciplined and transparent manner with proper support from the authorities as well. And with this project, they explained what the support was, and in 4 points. Firstly was expedited clearances, meaning that access to sites will happen without delay. And secondly, law and order assistance, which was so that any protests or civil disturbances do not hinder the projects at hand. Thirdly, a predictable payment flow. And I think Abhishek kind of clarified this, that this would happen in 5 to 8% phases in each phase. And finally, clauses.
Yes, the 5 to 8% was more of a figure, I think, just thrown for clarification. What the exact numbers will be, I think that's a separate discussion between the authority and, of course, myself. So I think for now, the idea is that there would be revised milestones subject to what those milestones are.
Okay, so we'll keep it at that there will be revised milestones. And finally, the clauses will be strengthened in order to prevent any further reputational damage, blacklisting, or us delving back into a similar situation. Diksha, Arjun, is that clear for you? And Avi, Karen, do you want to add anything to what I've said? Please go
No,
ahead.
that's absolutely summarized perfectly. Thank you so much.
Right. So I think we have a lot of information on the table right now. And thank you, Avi, for being so forthcoming and for stating your points. So what we were thinking of is that the termination notice would be withdrawn, provided that Sunway increases its manpower and machinery and commits to its completion of this highway within 36 months. But with that being said, I think there are a lot of nitty-gritties involved, and we would really benefit from a caucus session. So mediators, would you please help us?
Sure,
Definitely.
Diksha. Given the fact that the responding party has asked for a caucus, I'd like to ask the room master to please escort the requesting party to a break room so that we could have a private session with the responding party, Diksha and Arjun. All right. I see that the requesting party has joined the breakout room. Dhruv Master, could we please get timestamps at when the caucus session is about to end? Diksha and Arjun, I'd like to tell you that I'd like to reiterate this. What are the rules for the caucus session? It's going to be a private session just between the two of us. As you've seen, the requesting party has been sent to a different room. Whatever you're going to tell both me and Uneli in this private caucus stays confidential. And towards the end of it, you'd have to explicitly mention what you'd like us to reveal to the requesting party. With that being said, I'd like you guys to tell us what is it that you want to tell us in this private session. Please utilize this session fruitfully.
Right. Thank you, Abhishek. So one of our concerns was regarding the third solution, I believe, that Karan put out was predictable payment flow, which is something that we couldn't really wrap our heads around. So if you could help us with that, that would be really helpful.
I think what Karen meant by is that there will be proper payment at periodic intervals and at newly adjusted milestones. So I am assuming that this means that this would be different to the original contractual provisions and the milestones set in that.
So would this, since we already do have a sort of phased payment system already written into the contract, I don't see how this is any different from that. So
I believe that given the fact that this is something that was proposed by Karan and Avi, if Diksha and Arjun would like, we could ask about it. We could be that if they'd like to clarify a bit more before we begin any more talks about the agenda. So would that be fine?
certainly, I think that would be
Right, Karan. And thank you so much. And I would also like to state what solutions we would like to propose, right? So that we could find a middle ground between them. So what we had proposed is that the termination notice would be withdrawn, provided that Sunway increases its manpower and machinery, and it commits to completion of this highway within 36 months that we had originally discussed upon. And we could, of course, also talk about removing of the blacklisting, provided that they once give us a certain timeline of whether they want more time.
as to when these milestones will be achieved throughout the 36 months process. That would be really helpful to gauge the how well the project is progressing.
You'd like transparency and predictability on their part as well.
Certainly.
Okay.
So our main goal here, I think, at least from the perspective of the authority, that we want this highway to be completed as fast as it could, and for that we would contribute help from us. We would help them
definitely
Right.
in providing machinery or manpower.
Sorry to cut you off, Diksha, but just to clarify 2 points. Firstly, I understand that you want Avi side to have more manpower and as well as machinery. But just to test the solution realistically, I believe that to add more machinery and manpower, more finances would be necessary in order to employ those resources. So understanding that one of Avi's main concerns was the fact that they are facing financial losses. How do you propose that Avi could probably bridge the gap and give you your interest while kind of mending theirs as well?
Yes, Onelli. I think that's why we propose that in case it gets more difficult for them to complete this project within 36 months, we would contribute resources from our end in terms of machinery and manpower.
But just to clarify that,
Right.
Onelli, I think it is Thousand Sunway company that should be giving their best and investing any sort of extra manpower and machinery that is required in exchange for the reinstatement that we are providing.
Just a slight
Right.
question, Diksha, that I have on my part. You said that in case that current that Avi and Thousand Samaway are not able to complete the project within the 36 months period, you would help them with machinery. Would this come with any additional costs or let's say negative connotations for their contract? Any sort of
Abhishek, this was only proposed in the direst of dire situations. So, an ideal situation would be where the company is able to invest any excessive manpower and machinery and any sort of transparency that is required. And additional support would only be provided in case of any sort of emergency or when there's no
my
other solution
Right.
left.
My question is, let me rephrase it. Would there be any consequences attached to it? Let's say with the help that you're going to give them post 36 months period, would there be any consequences that would be attached?
Certainly not.
Okay.
I think the consequence that Diksha and Arjun mentioned in itself is that they absolutely require it to be done in 36 months. And if not, they won't be able to pull back their termination notice. Am I right, Diksha? With that,
Precisely.
yeah,
Yes.
with that, just one more clarification, actually. So these 36 months, maybe for our benefit, could you let us know how many months have already elapsed and how many are remaining? So ideally, how would this timeline look like for you?
Right. I believe 12 months has passed or 1 year, so
Yeah.
the company still has 24 months or 2 years to complete this project deadline.
Right. And again, I'm bringing you back to this solution that you brought just to quickly kind of reality test it so that we can have a fruitful discussion. Again, in terms of adding more machinery and labor, it is going to be resource intensive, right? So how do you propose that Avi can find these additional resources? So obviously, considering their financial circumstances, maybe is there a way that you can provide some sort of relief or any such way so that both of you can get what you want out of the scenario?
Right, Onali. But I suppose that Karan and Avi did propose that they were ready to provide this additional manpower and machinery. So unless they expressly state that, they do require some sort of support on the resources part, could we stick to the fact that the additional manpower and machinery would be provided by the company itself?
All right.
Definitely.
Given
As
the fact that
until
we're ending to, oh, I am very sorry, Diksha, you may
The
continue.
termination notice would be withdrawn. I think we're missing that
All
in
right.
the stance. And of course, we could also talk about revoking the blacklisting of the company.
I am
That's great.
extremely sorry to interrupt again, Diksha, but I believe that there's 30 seconds remaining and we need to be fair to both the parties. Could you please tell us what is it that you'd like us to share with the other party? I believe one of which is that you're ready to help them out in case they go past the 36 months limit. Anything else that you'd like us to tell them clearly?
I believe that that was one of the dire situations to be addressed, but I
Yes.
think the main parts that you wanted to address was that they have to be done in the time limit and that you're willing to withdraw the termination notice as well as the
Precisely, Onali.
blacklisting. Okay,
Is
that's
there
great.
anything that you'd like us not to tell?
I don't think there's anything like that, provided you talk about the termination notice and the contract. Thank you so much, mediators.
With that being said, Room Master, could you please escort the responding party to a break room so that the requesting party could have their private caucus with the mediators?
Welcome back, Avi and Karan. I think we're just waiting till Diksha and okay, they're gone.
Hello,
Again,
Arvind.
Hi.
Only you can.
yes, Abhishek, just a moment. Welcome to your private caucus. Just to remind you that as confidentiality has been paramount this entire session, there is an added layer of confidentiality within this caucus, which means that whatever is discussed here will not be discussed in joint session without your express consent. And also, just a reminder that the last minute of the caucus, I would like to reserve for the mediators to wrap up and just to ensure that what we have on our notes is accurate. With that, Avi, you can go ahead.
Hi, thank you, Nelly. I think over the course of the last hour, I have gained a better understanding of where Diksha and Arjun are coming from. And I'm really glad that I've been able to make some strides about, my understanding of their concerns. And I think we were quite receptive to their proposition of reinstating the project and the demands they made out of us. However, Karan, I feel like when we proposed our side of the story to them, I did not really sense a similar sort of receptiveness from them, and I couldn't really gain an understanding of whether they want this to happen or whether they're in agreement with our proposal as well or not. So, what do you think, Karan? Where we're at?
So actually, that's the reason that we also opted for a shorter caucus because we haven't got a chance to gain their perspective on our latest offer with the three covenants. The one being the transparent milestone achievement and the accountability aspect that we'll add to the continuing project. The second part would be the assurances that we would seek from them in terms of that such a thing should not happen again, such a blacklisting should not happen again. But and on the government support aspect particularly, we've not really. I sensed a bit of hesitation on their aspect, on their part maybe. So I just wanted to take a caucus to avoid such a deadlock in the future. So we wanted the mediators' guidance on how to sort of propose these solutions and how to go ahead with this.
Definitely, Karan, definitely, Abhi. Just to, I think there were some aspects that we discussed in the caucus with Diksha and Arjun that I think they've allowed us to discuss with you, and this might help you understand their perspective better. Firstly,
Before
it's
we
that
go ahead with that, Oneli, I just have a slight clarification that I'd like to seek with Avi and Karan. So the questions that you've raised were addressed by the responding party, Diksha and Arjun. And given the fact that we're in a short caucus, is there anything else that you'd like to tell us that you want to tell us only within the caucus before Oneli proceeds with helping you out with your conundrum right now?
Honestly,
Because there are
Abhishek,
things that we can speak in the general session as well that were addressed by Diksha and Arjun that would address your issues.
Honestly, Abhishek, given the added layer of confidentiality that you guys have informed us of, I don't think there's any issue in informing you guys that I'm quite relieved that in the beginning we could move past the whole circular conversation about what caused the delay, because there were delays on our side as well, which were more internal and related to the more internal management of our private company. And those were things we did not want them to be privy of, because we felt that may give us lower bargaining power or take away, are sort of standing in front of their eyes. But having said that, I don't believe there's anything else that we do need to discuss pertinently in this caucus, except for the fact that we would like certain guidance from the mediators on how to proceed to ensure that we can reach amicable solutions without entering into any deadlocks.
All right. I believe, Oneli, then it's up to you to help them out for now.
Thank you, Abhishek. I completely understand why you may have felt that way in terms of being able to share your interest in joint session. And I hope you don't have to worry about that specific information being shared as well. But just to tell you the outline that they've put out is that they've agreed to pull the termination notice back and also to remove the blacklisting as well. This is provided that the project is completed within the original 36 months plan. And with that, 12 months have already elapsed. So this means that the rest of the project will need to be completed in 24 months. And one of the additional notes that they had was that they would like the company to employ more machinery and more manpower, because that was something that they thought lacked in terms of completing this project. So in terms of that, how does this work around with you?
Just a slight
Uh,
addition, Nelly. There's just one more thing that the party had requested, and that was for this house in some way to be a bit more transparent with regards to the progress of the work. I believe that you had already addressed it, but I think that they're still in a bit of a haywire with about that. So, in your concerns, maybe you could emphasize on this transparency and efficiency angle. Thank you so
Right.
much.
Yes, I hear you, Abhishek and Anelli, and I understand the proposal, which is one that we're interested in talking about more. However, I mean, this is something we'll tell them as well, and we spoke of earlier in the joint session as well. We're completely on board with what they've given us, provided we get institutional support in this accelerated construction of the project. That is all the more, that's all we ask for. And if that's something they would be on board with, I think we can have this discussion with them and come to an
I
amicable
think
solution.
Avi, on principle, they are willing to provide any institutional support that they can. However, they do want the company to put in their best efforts as well. And one more thing was, I did bring up what you brought up in joint session with them, which was about the predictable payment flow, like a predictable flow to the payment. And they mentioned that they would like to maintain it as it was addressed in the previous contractual provisions, seeing that there were established milestones as well, if you're amenable to that. I think with that, they're definitely willing to provide the support that they can, provided that you take the lead on making this project happen.
That is something that I think we would be amenable to, even though this would require accelerated planning and deployment of additional manpower. As we've already explained them, that if we get the expedited clearances, the relocation and the law and order, the utility relocation and the law and order situation fixed, I think we would definitely be able to complete this in the required time, which is the original 36-month period. And I recognize that we did have those milestones earlier, but since I proposed it actually for their sake, since they wanted to have an oversight over the construction period. That was just a sweetener that we threw in for their sake. So we'd be happy to
Continue with the
amenable
old
to
ones,
that.
yeah.
I hate to be the bad cop here, but given that we have 1 minute left and equality and neutrality is one of the key aspects of mediation, I believe, Oneli, you had said that you'd like to summarize the session towards the end. So if we could be done with that. Thank you so much. I hand it over to you, Oneli.
Thank you, Abhishek. Just to quickly clarify, I think we have an agreement on the table, and I think I can bring that forward in joint session, which was that you are amenable to finishing the project at the original timeline, provided that the termination and the blacklisting is brought back. And with that, I think there was only one aspect that you didn't want shared. So with that, I think Diksha and Arjun are back on here. So Diksha, Arjun, welcome back. Just to emphasize, we do have a big win on the table, actually. After speaking with Avi and Karan, they have completely agreed on the fact that provided that the termination notice and the blacklisting is pulled back, they're definitely willing to put in their best efforts to complete the project in the original 36-month timeline. And I've also brought the concerns that the original milestones be kept, and they're also definitely amenable to that as well. And what they ask is that you, as the authority, provide your utmost support and anything that you can provide in addition as well to help them achieve this goal. Diksha, Arjun, what do you propose? Does this work with you? Are we having a win on the table?
Just to add one more point to what you summarized, and I know, Diksha, this is us getting into the nitty-gritties of industrial aspects of it all, but just so that you are completely aware of what our proposal is, the institutional support that we asked for will revolve around three broad brackets. The first one being, as mentioned earlier, expedited clearances from the authority for us receiving land parcels to work on. Secondly, would be law and order assistance, especially in areas where we're currently seeing civil unrest and protests. And third would be a predictable payment flow, which will connect with the original milestones that we had thought of. So I think that is the comprehensive offer on the table, and I'm eager to hear your thoughts about it.
Thank you so much, Avi and Karan, for being so forthcoming. I think provided the points we have put forth is agreed upon, and we would like to go ahead and deal on this, put a deal on this and
Certainly.
close on this
Yeah,
matter.
I think we have our first in principle agreement then. And we can definitely have a formal agreement set up for the reinstatement of this at a later date. And if we've agreed on the second point of today's discussion, maybe we can move to the third point, which is a reputational.
Before we move forward with that, Avi and Karan, just so that it's clear for the mediators as well, I'd like to tell us what we understand of the situation as of now. So the responding party, Diksha and Arjun, have agreed to revoke this termination and the reinstatement of the contract contingent on two conditions. One is an increase in efficiency, which they believe would be achieved through more machinery and more manpower. Secondly, the issue of transparency with regards to the timelines of construction, which I believe in principle was addressed by Avi when he proposed a joint monitoring committee. If both the parties, I believe that both the parties can work on that together. And based on this, we will adhere to the original timelines of 36 months. Given the fact that 12 months have already passed, that leaves thousand some away with 2 years to complete this contract. Even if, and I hope this never happens, but in the dire situation where we're unable to perform our contracts, even in that case, Arjun and Diksha say that they'd still like to help with assisting in completion of the project due to its utmost importance. Am I missing anything? Oneli, do you want to add something?
Just to add to that, Abhishek, the additional resources provided by the authority, as stated before, would only be in the direst of dire situations. In a normal situation, that the manpower and machinery, as accepted by Avi and Karan, would be provided by Thousand Sunway itself.
Just to clarify, maybe I'm misunderstanding this. When we spoke of the institutional support, I'm assuming that the institutional support would remain continuously throughout the project, and it's only anything above and beyond that would come into the play from the authority when we are in dire situations. Is that correct, Arjun?
Certainly, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Great. With that,
I
I
think,
believe
Abhishek, just to add to this, I think we can
Go ahead.
also kind of add that we are going to proceed with the original contractual milestones on all the other regards as well. So that actually leaves a little bit of less work for Karan and Arjun in terms of their lawyer work. But yes, I think this has put us a big win on the table. I'm glad that our first discussion point has ended so successfully. And with that, I think I can invite both of you to discuss on our next agenda topic, which was reputation. So Avi, Diksha, please do take the floor as you see fit.
Right, Onelli. So as I mentioned in my opening remarks earlier, that as a result of the erstwhile blacklisting, which has now been taken back, our investor confidence was quite shaken, and our reputation in the international infrastructure industry was, it took an adverse hit, because of which we've had issues with respect to other sort of projects going on, and generally public confidence in our work is now at a certain low. So to sort of help hit two birds with one stone, because Diksha, I heard you in your opening remarks mention that public perception, of course, is quite important for a government authority as well. So I think, Karan, we can talk about the public statement we discussed before.
Essentially, what we're saying is we don't want the market to be left with the impression that it was entirely our fault, that the delay was entirely our fault, and that we are deserving this blacklisting label that we had received. We don't need a public blame exercise as well. What we are actually proposing, as Avi said, is a joint statement. It's a clarification that acknowledges that the project did face multiple coordination challenges, which are framed as unilateral, which are not framed as unilateral, contractor mismanagement, and the liability does not only come on us. That is what we are proposing, a joint statement.
Right. If I could just confer with Diksha for a second on that, that would be really helpful.
Sure.
Definitely. Then maybe a 2-minute break.
Avi and Karan, are you guys comfortable? Is there anything that you'd like us to help you with?
No, not as of now. I think
we're making good headway.
Yeah.
In this
Yeah, I
discussion.
just
I see that
conferred with
Diksha is back, so Diksha and Arjun can begin.
Certainly, Abhishek. I think I just conferred with Diksha, and yes, we are willing to provide any sort of support from our side that is necessary to, build or mitigate that sort of that image, the bad negative image that was associated with Thousand Sunway. And we are ready for this joint public statement as stated by Karan. We're
Right.
ready to go
So
ahead with it.
just to elaborate a bit more on what the statement would include, it would essentially be a joint statement wherein both the government of Tower, specifically the authority, and Thousand Sunways put out a press release of sorts where we mentioned that there were certain delays from various factors that resulted in the abrupt halt of the construction of the project. However, having had internal discussions, having dealt with all the relevant stakeholders, the project will be back on its way and will be due for completion in the original timeline. I think that would be a neutrally worded statement along these lines. I'll leave the exact wordings both to Arjun and Karan to handle. But overall, I think that is exactly what we're looking for.
So, just to clarify, what I'm hearing is that you would base this public statement on basically your force majeure clause. Am I right? That is the main
So,
forefront of.
Onelli, I don't think we'll have to mention any specifics given these contractual arrangements are anyways private. We just mentioned something just to ensure that there's public confidence both in the authority and there's investor confidence in Thousand Sunface. I think we'll just have to mention a very neutral statement alluding to a variety of factors, right, Karan?
The idea behind this is not to actually attribute blame to any party. The idea behind it is that since we have suffered maximum reputational damage, it's just to salvage that. So there's no need to mention any clause in the joint statement. All we need to do is remove the blame of our heads. That is the word on the street currently, and that's all we aim to achieve by this statement.
Are we again, sorry, just to clarify again. So how would this positive image in the future look like for your company? Maybe if you could tell us what your ideal image would look like in a positive aspect, that can help us understand this a little bit better.
Right, Anelli. So the idea is right now, what our investors are asking us for, what our shareholders are demanding is an acknowledgement of sorts from the authority that this blacklisting was more of a misunderstanding, and it's something that will not continue in the future. So what we need is a public acknowledgement from both sides that the project was halted due to a variety of factors. We do not need to name exactly what these factors were, but we would want a joint commitment towards resuming working together, reinstatement of the project, and essentially achieving that project that we talked about in the original timeline. I think Karan maybe can just summarize it in the most technical way possible.
What we actually aim to achieve by this is what the future plan is, just so that business picks up in Asia. Our investors are losing confidence and they're devaluing our company based on this blacklisting. What we aim to achieve is just to get it re-rated and to let business flow the way it was flowing prior to this debacle.
Thank you, Avi and Karan. Deeksha and Arjun?
Right. Thank you so much, Avi and Karan, for all of the information and points you've put forth. So, of course, we could get into the nitty-gritties of this joint statement later, right? I'm guessing
Right.
Arjun and Karan, you guys could take it forward. And we are definitely on board with this joint statement that we were talking about, because we would obviously love for this project to continue, and we also want your expertise in a lot of other projects that we are coming up with. So I was just talking with Arjun if we could get into a contract or an agreement where basically
think of-
providing you an opportunity to take up projects in towers, and we could have been in conversation with you for all of the other projects that we are coming up with the government. The thing is, with the joint statement, I would have to ask my head and all of the other authorities within the government. But in the meanwhile, what do you think of this contract that we could get into?
Right, Diksha. I think just like you are, I think responsible to the public of Towers. I think even I'm responsible to the shareholders of my company, and I am an agent of the company. So I think before I take any decision about a new project or any new contracts, I would require a lot greater detail and have to have a discussion with my board and, of course, the stakeholders involved there as well. Right, Karan? I think those are things we have to consider.
That being said, considering the way things have blown down in this arrangement, I think that might be something that we should consider. But I think we should keep this incident in the past and move further. So my advice to you would be you can go ahead and sign further contracts for the business in Taos.
Right. So I think then, having heard Karan as well, If what we can do have maybe an in principle agreement to have more discussions on these prospective projects that we've spoken about, because as of now, I'm sure that even you do not have all the information. So maybe if we can have an information exchange of sorts of the project that you have on board, and I can confer with my colleagues as well, and then we can take a decision at a later date depending upon the viability of these projects.
That being said, we are open to it and we're not averse to it, so we can discuss it at a later date for sure.
So Avi, Diksha, just to quickly backtrack, we are in principle agreement on having a joint public statement. It just needs the final lines just need to be authorized by your heads. Am I right?
Yes, Anelli, you're right.
Okay, that's great. That means we do have, well, two big wins on our table today. And while we do have about 8 minutes left in our discussion left today, Abhishek, is there anything you would like to add or highlight at this moment?
Thank you so much, Anelli. I believe that given the fact that we've sort of discussed a lot of specific agendas that we had come here, we've moved forward, we're looking towards future collaborations on top of that. I believe that at this particular junction within this mediation session, adding any more concerns or proposing new proposals, I believe that would just muddle things up a bit. So, what I think instead we can do is that we can move towards our concluding remarks. If any of the parties have any clarifications or doubt, I believe we still have time before we move towards the concluding remarks on any of the topics that we've talked about, any agenda points, anything that you want to seek a clarification from the other party, you may do it now. So, Diksha and Avi.
Actually, Abhishek, I think before Avi and Diksha make their closing remarks, I would like to quickly summarize the entire session today, just so we know that we're all on the
I
same
believe we
page.
could do it after they're done with their remarks so that we could end the session.
Definitely, that works with me as well, if that's okay with Avi and
So,
Diksha.
do the parties have any more clarifications or doubts with each other?
From our side, I don't think there are any more clarifications or doubt towards what we've agreed upon, but I would like to hear a summary of the agreements just so that we know that we're on the same page. And I think if after that, if we're not, hopefully we are, we can have a discussion.
Great. Then, Diksha, would you have something to add?
I think I agree with Avi that a summary of this session would be great so that we are all on the same page.
Great. Then I believe, Oneli, you'd be great to summarize on the three agenda points that we had. First was getting an understanding of the situation. Second would be reinstatement of Thousand Sunaways. And finally, the reconstruction of the project. So I hand it over to you, Oneli.
Thank you, Abhishek. Just to quickly go through that since we have about 5 minutes left. Firstly, on getting to know what has happened so far and the circumstances leading up to it, I think we came to an agreement that there were issues and concerns from both sides of the table, and that you are here to put that behind you and move forward in a positive direction. I think that was basically the main essence of our first agenda topic. And secondly, it was on the reinstatement. And I think we came to an agreement that the termination notice will be pulled back. So will the blacklisting. And with that, the project would commence under the same 36-month time limit. This leaves us about 24 months more to complete the project. And with that, Diksha has agreed that the authorities will provide institutional support. And this would look a little bit like providing expedited clearances and assistance in terms of law and order, and as well as they will be following the milestones and the contractual provisions in regards to payment as done before in the original contract. And I think this was something that Avi and Karan were definitely amenable to as well. And with that, in the dire situation, if is a need for the authorities to go above and beyond, I believe that was also left open to further discussion. But right now, it would be the responsibility of Thousand Sunways to ensure transparent and disciplined completion of the project. I think that is where our agreement lied with our second agenda topic.
Slight addition, I believe that there was some talks of transparent and more adherence to the timelines that was requested by Diksha and Arjun. which I believe was answered in the form of a proposal by the Thousand Sunaways, Avi and Karan, with regards to the formation of a joint monitoring body where each parties would appoint two members. Additional to that would be one independent member, so that all of this, so the arrangement makes it a bit neutral and makes this entire body independent and easy to rely on. Yeah, I think that was one of the points that sort of just moved away. But
Thank
yeah,
you,
with
Abhishek.
regards to that, Oneli, you can continue.
Again, thank you. I think definitely the joint committee in assessing how all of this would work out is definitely a vital aspect of what we discussed today. And moving on to the final and third point, which was the reputational damage that had happened, I think we came to the agreement that there would be a joint statement that would accept that this was a misunderstanding and that you are moving forward together as partners. And I think Diksha also suggested that Taos would be very interested in contracting Thousand Sunways in future projects as well. And I think that perfectly shows the positive and the bright side of the tunnel that we have faced today. And Diksha, Arjun, Avi, Karan, is there anything you'd like to add to what I've said so far? If not, you can give me a thumbs up and I think we can wrap up today's session. Thank you so much. That's great. Again, thank you for your willingness to participate and engage in this process. I know that Abhishek and I would have not been able to manage this process as smoothly if it wasn't for your support and your engagement. So with that,
Yes.
thank you once again. I think
I
Abhishek, you
just
can
like to add and
close
say
this
that
out.
both the parties here were very cooperative, something which we don't usually see. And the parties have really adhered to the fact that no one's relying on their positions. The councils were really great insofar as not using a lot of legal jargon and explaining it in a very simple and clear manner for both of us. I'd now request the requesting party to start with their concluding remarks, if they have any suggestions for future rounds, followed by the responding party, and then we can end the session.
Right, Abhishek. I think given that we have less than a minute available, I'll keep it as brief as possible. I'm just glad that we could make the headway that we have made today and reinstate this project, because I think both for our company and for the country of Taos, this project is going to result in great benefit. And thank you so much, Diksha and Arjun, for being so forthcoming and, of course, engaging with us on various matters.
I think the session has been really successful. For a 1 hour session, we've achieved everything that we had planned to come here with and achieve. And all our solutions have been taken very well. And I think it's been a very fruitful session.
Thank you so much, mediators, for helping us be grounded and for facilitating the session in such an amazing manner. And thank you for Avi and Karan as well for being so forthcoming and kind. I hope we continue with our projects.
Right. I'll just keep it short. Thank you to Aneli and Abhishek for conducting this so seamlessly. And thank you, Jay and Avi, sorry, Karan and Avi for, initiating this session. And I'm really glad that we agreed upon the two most important agendas that we put forth. Thank you.
Thank you so much, all the parties. With that, Room Master, I believe the round ends on our part. Thank you so much.
Now I request the honorable judges to provide the valuable feedback or assess the score sheet or vice versa.
Well, let's take a moment and congratulate all of yourselves. And again, it's our honor to be here. So judges, fellow judges, what we would like to do, we'd like to give comments first, or do we want to do our scoring first?
I prefer to do deliberation with the fellow judges first and then come back to give our feedback. If the host or the monitor would allow the judges to do that first. Iram, you're the best person to make this decision to us. Is she there?
I think we can score first, Josephine, and then we can discuss and whatever.
All right. I've started already. So yeah, let's.
Okay, so while the judges are scoring, my score sheet is done. So as one of your trainers, let me go ahead and put the slide deck in that I trained about the mediator. And everyone, you can utilize it the way that you want to. Okay, and then let me go ahead and put into the chat as well my mediator's opening statement. As I mentioned, maybe I haven't mentioned, I've worked both in court and private practice. I'm going to copy the link. And you may use my mediator's opening statement as well, talking directly to the mediators now, any way that you would like to. I've mediated over 1,000 mediations, but know people that have mediated a lot more than 1,000, okay? So at the bottom is the slide deck about your role as the mediator that I trained at the beginning of this tournament. And the last document is my mediator's opening statement. So chop it up and utilize it the way that you would like to. And then when the judges come back, we will speak and give our comments.
बस स्कोरिंग कैसे करनी होगी? कुछ नहीं, बस ये एडिट कर दो। नहीं, कैसे अभी है ना, देख कर इसमें खोल लो, इसमें फोन में मत खोलो, इसमें खोल लो, का है लिंक इसमें।
Kathleen ma'am, you have filled the score sheet, but each and every blank cell has to be filled out of 5.
Thank you for that correction. All right, let me go back and do it properly. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
Can I ask a question? Do you mean for one specific cell, we can put a score between 1 to 5? Because some of the other criteria was not used. So can we on the part, so we can put 3 or 2 or 1 or 5 on one specific area? On one cell, or do we spread out?
Ma'am, each and every blank cell should be
Has
scored
to have
out of 5, so that the
5.
total would be out of 125.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Does it add up by itself or we have to add it at the end?
No, it adds up by itself.
But the total, it doesn't look like.
Yeah, if you go to the grand total, it does automatically
At the end?
enters the number. It's a yellow highlighted part on
Okay.
each. Yeah, there's on the it's not exactly on the bottom. On each person or each team member, there's a grand total that's highlighted in yellow. It adds by itself, Ruwan.
Okay.
Room assessor manager, can you please repeat the grand total scoring, the final number, the highest number possible?
Ma'am, you have to score the negotiators out of 125 and the
Mhm.
mediators out of 100. Each and every
100.
blank cell is totals to up to 5. If the total is not getting automatically, you just fill the cell. We will do the total from our end.
Yeah, it
Okay.
doesn't come the total, but we need to see the total because otherwise we can.
Sir, we'll add the formula in your score sheet so that you can see the total right now only. Dear judges, if you permit, can you just give the feedback first so that we can connect you with the judges committee, and if you're facing any issue with the scoring, that can be sorted.
Okay. Absolutely. Is it all right if I go first?
Yes,
Yeah, you
please.
can.
Okay. So this is wonderful. Sometimes in the finals, you don't see teams that have the finesse that all of you had. It's just so, so nice. And mediators, I've assessed you both before in the past, and my heart was warm just to be in the presence of your skill and your sophistication and how smooth and easy you make this look. So congratulations to everyone. Let me just talk briefly about the mediators, just from my perspective. Your opening statements, you have responsibilities, and your responsibilities are to provide in 4 components of your opening statements: the introductions, the business at hand, mediation is, the process here today at the table is, and I didn't quite hear that. I heard it kind of like, you know, just like a plate of spaghetti, American spaghetti, with the noodles and the sauce and the peppers and the sausages all touching each other. Nah, the mediator's opening statement is clearly 4 different components. So rewrite your mediator's opening statement. You'll see it in the chat. So because your job to concisely communicate each individual part of the mediator's opening statement. So I would say that you are both so wonderful. I scored you 1 point apart. It's really, really a pleasure to be able to have it that close. And a couple points I'd like to make: when people are giving each other offers at the table, it's your job to say, oh, thank you for that offer number 1. It's your job to organize what's happening at your table. And it's your job to say, I haven't heard a total response to offer number 1 yet. And I also heard a counter offer from you, or a new offer from you. So let's clarify the rest of the first offer on the table before we entertain a second offer on the table. So you want to make sure that offer gets either countered or rejected or accepted. And I didn't see that. It was a little bit gray with all of that in there. The agenda went really well. Adding to the agenda, and you're both kind of checking each other as mediators to make sure that all is done. You both summarized really, really well, and I just really, really loved it. For mediator number 37, I want to let you know that behind you, your mediator word is not readable. It is actually backwards. So that puts a little bit of a provocation about, why are you comfortable? You are so confident, and you have so much poise, and why is your name backwards behind you? So I just want to let you know that's a little bit of a wonderment that people could have. And I also want to let you know that, just a point for growth, every time your beautiful personality says the word I, which happened probably at least 8 times, you take autonomy away from your clients or your co-mediator. So I want you to learn to start to evacuate, extinguish the word I from your language, your vocabulary. Okay? But boy, you are just absolutely charming and wonderful. And there is a difference between, one more thing, when you say, I understand, see, there was that word I again. This is pronoun stealth language. It's important. There's a difference between you saying, I understand, and you said, this is what I heard you say. So you got to understand what mediator tool you're picking up. And I'll put a mediator toolbox into the chat as well. Got to understand what tool you're picking up and why. All right. So wonderful job for you, mediator 2. You have a way of beautifully framing everything. You are gracious, because the co-mediation is like a ballet. You are gracious to your co-mediator all the time. And it was really wonderful to watch that. You are concise as well. You are making sure that everything, the information is accurate and clear. Pausing hesitation with your co-mediator a couple of times. And in the caucus, when you decide, both of you, to what can we share? That's taking away from the autonomy. You both actually negotiated in the caucus for the parties that weren't there. What's going on here in this caucus? And so you want to make sure that you're asking the question, how do you want to handle the return to the joint session is the exact vocabulary to give them full autonomy and agency and power. And the one mistake that I'm going to talk to you about, mediator 2, is when your party went into the private meeting off audio for 2 minutes, you started chatting with the people that were there at the table with you. Don't do that anymore. That is not neutrality. You could be mistaken for mediator bias. So you're just going to have to go quiet. And maybe you're going to even say, us mediators, we will both go off camera until the other people come back. Okay? Well done. Parties, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Again, your negotiation, please make sure you're being clear about what you're offering. And offer number 1, counter offer, rejected, whatever it all is. And I really loved both your styles. And for the plaintiff, you went right into the blacklisting. You wanted to gather information and scrutinize what is this blacklisting all about. And that is the perfect thing to do before you start negotiating. Oftentimes we rush to negotiation way too quickly. And you both had so much poise. It was wonderful. And the defendant, I really just super enjoyed your opening statement and your graciousness and your poise as well. So thank you very much. That's all I have to say. I'm going to go back and make sure my judging is proper. Wonderful job, everyone.
Let's make it alternate, and one of the gentlemen then, and then another lady.
I have to still do my scoring. Just a bit, I'll go after you. Otherwise, I'm doing that.
All right. Okay.
Okay, it's only, am I the only male judge here, or is there somebody else?
That's okay. I could do it, Rowan. I've actually, my PC died, so I don't know what's going to happen to the score sheet. Right. So I could give my feedback. Definitely, it's the final teams that of supreme high caliber. That's why you're in the finals. The communication skills that you have, all of you, are just, I mean, superb. I have the pace, the tone, use of simple words, very clear. I mean, in spite of accents, it's just very clear and excellent communication skills. Now, I'd like to start with the mediators. For mediator 1, Onelli, again, very clear use. Preparation was excellent. And the way you've explained the mediation process. I'll jump on to 𝐒𝐥𝐥𝐿, mediator 2. You actually set a very good report and made your parties by even asking them, how would you like to be called? Introduce yourself. How would you like to be addressed? So you were setting the atmosphere, the room, the mediation session, whereby they could say their names and how they'd like to be called. However, when during the mediation process, you would still always be requesting party, mediating party. And it was only at that time where, at the private session, where you actually addressed their first names. Also, it's so different when Onelli was addressing the parties, she was using their names. I must admit, 𝐒𝐥𝐥𝐿, that you were at some time using you were using Avi and Karen's name, but there were a lot of occasions where you would put responding party or request, and yet you were in the beginning on your introduction really wanted to ask them how they would like to be called, and I wish you would be consistent with that. Another feedback was when at the private session, I can't remember if it was the requesting or whereby you interrupted your fellow mediator and I think it was the requesting party then, because they were even saying the word, could you give us an advice or something? Maybe you could use that part where saying mediators don't give advice or something, but maybe we could clarify some things with you. However, your mediator one or your co-mediator did ask some reality questions and again reassured the requesting party on some concern that they had. So that was very, very good. Overall, the mediator's done an excellent job, high caliber. To the parties, you've really played your role. Very good. Very good of the responding party because they were very future focused. And again, this was acknowledged by Avi and Karen because of the future focused approach of Disha and Arjun. Sorry about that. Yes, and finally, yes, I really like the reality testing done at the private session by the mediators. And there's the last part. Again, where the requesting party again was asking for, this is the private session, was asking for advice to the mediators. Mediators, you know that you could respond to them, that you are not there to give them an advice or guidance, but clarify their expectations by asking them those reality questions, which you did, you know, but you need to clarify the expectations of Avi and Karen by specifying where you stand as a mediator. That's my feedback. Otherwise, you're all excellent. Over to you, Rowan.
Okay. I did my score sheet, but I don't know, the total doesn't come. But in regard to the feedback, I think I will start with the two parties. I think the two parties, negotiation-wise, the starting point of the opening statements were very good, particularly the combination between explaining what is the client and the counsel relationship was very good, because the client mostly take charge and explain the problems and what possible answers that can be. And that was really, really well done. And the counsel, particularly the requesting party and the respondent party both, the councils were very much able to. So first I will go with the client. The both requesting and responding parties clients explaining their problem and the details and possible solutions that they may have go in future was very good. And actually the client, the counsel for both of them, the counsels were playing the back pedal and assisting the client, did it very well. And actually they brought the legal side incredibly well too. And overall mediation starting point was good. And I see this almost all the student mediations. But when it comes to negotiating, are very reluctant to negotiate actually. And if you actually do these mediations, if you can see this mediation at the very outset, there was an in principle agreement at the very outset. They said, okay, the project has to go ahead, it has to finish. And then what comes after that, if you really do these mediations, it comes to the nitty gritty and how the details are arranged. So agenda was exactly not made. This is, I have seen not only with you guys, all of the student mediations, agenda was not exactly made to actually point out, okay, there is an in principle kind of agreement. We might need to go back to the past a little bit to see, avoid those mistakes happening, but not to actually, there is no other need to go back to the past. And actually it was practically done exactly that way, because the agenda item was written, the project, the timeline, contract and finances, but it only take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and both parties, so we don't need to talk that, let's move on. So, but then use it properly. Why do a proper agenda? What can we avoid from our past in the future? Why don't write projects? What is it then? Right? Because this, and don't do that. And reputation part and the future part. So when you create the agenda, be, if you are going, so if you do a big mediation, which I have done these kind of project mediations, the lawyers tend not to do an agenda, and that takes mediation go for 2 days. But if you do an agenda, do it properly. Take your time, 2 hours, 3 hours, do it properly, and it helps immensely at the end. Right? People are frustrated when you do that, but do it properly. So other than that, the two of the mediating parties, negotiation skills, the way they want to move forward and to achieve things were very good, but you guys did not actually do actual negotiation that much. Came into in principle agreement, nitty gritty, it didn't go. But that is common in student mediations, I have seen, because they don't go there, but there's no time to go there also. But other than that, that part was excellent. Then the lawyer client combination was very good, and the lawyer's support to the client was very good, and the negotiation preparation was incredibly good. People knew what they are doing. And it comes to the two mediators. Look, there is a slight problem. Maybe this is the structure of the mediation competition overall. Look at the score sheet. I was reading that if you take the timelines of this talking, somebody adapt the times. Actually, mediators has spoken equal time as the negotiating parties, which shouldn't be exactly, honestly. But this is a competition. Both mediators want to do it well and summarize it again and again, this way, that way, side way, right? So I think the two judges gave an incredibly good feedback. So I'm not going to say the good things. You guys were good. Technically, really good. But I will tell you, it's something in the bigger picture. You need to ask yourself, why do you make a summary? Why? Just to summarize? Or why do you ask now the mediator number one asks a really good inquisitorial questions, which I like, and mediator number two did incredible summaries. And I won't go to what happened, explain the session, and there was this focusness on themselves a little bit too much, but Kathleen already addressed that issue, so I'm not going there. But what you need to understand is that why actually you do a summary. Because you do a summary in mediation not to exactly see whether you understand or not, careless. Sometimes when experts, when I mediate, when experts are talking about things I don't understand, I said, do you guys, I make sure they do understand. All right, if they understand, move on, because these are two above my head anyway as a lawyer, right? So we make a summary to, if there is a particularly, we make a summary in a critical point to push the mediation a little bit forward, saying, okay, this is the summary, maybe this is the critical point, let's push that point. So other than that, you really don't need to make a summary all the time and wasting the time. Because here I thought a few occasions the two mediating parties take charge of the session, say that, look, that's enough your summary, let's negotiate this. Actually, the responding party did it twice, because they have to move forward, right? So be careful. I know you guys are doing it because of the score sheet. When I read the score sheet, I can see why they are doing that. But be careful. In a real mediation, mediators are not the most important people. The parties and the issues are the most important things. I don't say this, but I normally say mediators are like a public toilet. Okay, you use it, you don't stay there. Just move on, right? And sometimes in the best mediations I do, I am mostly silent. Because when you set up the stage, they are doing their work. I don't need to interfere. So one more other thing is that, so be careful about it. And other thing is that what you missed there, I'm sorry, I'm taking a little bit of time. What you missed there is you summarize like that. What you actually missing is that there is an in principle agreement head on. Take it, focus on that, make the summary from that to move. That's how you actually do that. And other thing about the parties, one more thing about in my opinion, I might be wrong saying this. I don't think there was a necessity in the call a caucus at that point. Those questions were actually discussed in the caucus. You can really ask on the requesting party. What's the big deal? There was no blockage there, but students do these things to get marks. I understand that, but be careful in doing that, because so I just said some mistakes because you guys are good in general. Okay, Kathleen and Josephine talk about it. Be careful in overall picture. Ask yourself the question, even though I get marks, why I actually do that. And just that's it. Not more than that. Other than that, it was excellent. Who else is going to do a feedback? I think Ram is there. Ram?
Yeah, Justice Sudhir is also there. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Iram and others. How are you?
I am good, sir. Always pleasure to see you, sir.
Sorry, I joined a little bit late today.
Yeah, we were waiting for you, sir.
There was some. So
Yes.
let me make my.
Yes, sir.
I'm not making too much remarks on the performance of the parties, requesting as well as responding parties and mediator number 1 and 2. And I'm delighted to see their performance, how they perform. They perform like professional mediators and professional negotiator and parties. Very good. I think both responding and requesting party, they were matching with each other. No much competition. They were equal runner. They covered equal distance with equal pace, but maybe some minor difference in their performance, and same is true for mediator 1 and mediator 2. First, I will make few, not my comments, but my humble submission for their consideration and what they have done good. First, I will highlight how they proceed. That mediator 1, that lady mediator, one thing which really pleased me and delighted me to see her confidence on her face. She was very confident and controlled the process throughout the mediation time, and she was also smiling. It was appearing that she was not only the physically prepared but the mentally prepared to conduct such complicated mediation. Right? She did clarification, sought the confirmation from the parties कि what is done, it is actually done by the parties or not, and her questioning power to get further information was also really appealed me a lot, right? And the most important in any negotiation is the exchange of the offer and the counter offer in the right perspective. And both the parties, requesting parties and responding party, they were having different underlying interest, but ultimately the completion of the project within the timeline, that is of 36 months, 12 months have already been passed, and mobilization of resources and income, other opportunities for the requesting parties to proceed and to move with the project. Then this lady mediator has done exchange of offer and counter offer very well. She was able to understand the underlying interest of the parties, and last comments given by her, they were also very good. And another, the mediator number 2, Mr. 𝐒𝐔𝐁𝐄, was also excellent in performance. He was appearing to be smiling, well prepared, but what is required that there must be a reflection of little bit more confidence on your face, because you were handling such a complicated mediation. The most underlying interest of the requesting party is their reputation across the world, and there was some procedural difficulties during the continuance of the project they want to complete so that they can save their reputation, right? So in handling such type of complex issues, there should be a little bit more reflection of confidence, that I'm confident, I'm able to understand the factual background of the case, underlying interest of the parties. And then you also did, Mr. Abhishek, your questioning was really good. You asked various questions to elicit further information, and also you sought the clarification from the parties so that there should not be any atmosphere of confusion during the entire mediation process. Address the doubts of the parties when the requesting parties at the end express the doubt about the modalities, and their prime concern is that they should not be blacklisting. Blacklisting was likely to affect adversely their global reputation. You were handled properly, and then you also set the agenda, and in the last you also the joint statement, that is the common compromise arrived at between the parties, was very well taken by you. And little bit what I can not advise you, I'm nobody to advise you. You are appearing to be the perfect mediator, even at this level, at student level, perfect mediator, both of you, right? Little bit what I always consider, little bit more pleasing personality, no more seriousness on your face, because you are not handling the litigation in the court. You are handling the mediation in the mediation room, where the parties will be more delighted to see you smiling at comfort. No sign of no sign of confusion or lack of confidence. Many times when we handle the conflicts, the serious conflicts, the complicated conflicts, the tough parties, and which is the most suitable arms and armory in your hand is your body presentation and is your body orientation. It creates a bridge of trust and confidence with the parties. Otherwise, as a mediator, we are not having pleadings, documents, evidence of the parties, claims, counterclaims. We need to rely on how we gather the information, how we are able to understand the factual position of the case, and most important, the underlying interest of the parties. They were having the conflict interest. The political system in the state has been changed, right, with the election. And when we are private parties, they are dealing with the might of the state always. I'm recently doing one mediation in one of the ministry, where the huge amount is involved. When the parties, they start, what I've experienced, when the parties in such cases start mediation, they are with the close face, close head, close head also. You make them to get open slowly and gradually, and that the bridge of confidence, bridge of trust, bridge of mutual understanding created by the mediator with the party is very, very important. If you are looking a little bit more serious, the party may get confused. I know you prepared very well, you presented very well, and there is no question of any win and lose for the mediators. And what was really delighted me that your preparation, the way you prepared the problem, you understand the problem, you take the parties to the joint statement, towards the settlement. It was phenomenal. It was remarkable. And now, coming to the parties, requesting parties and the responding parties. Issues is tough. New state, new projects. Ultimately, they were all in the public interest for the welfare of the public. But simultaneously, many underlying interests like timely completion of the project, the flow of finance, no much procedural difficulties, right? The inflow of the labor and other resources, and most important, what I could understand, that is the timely completion of the project. What I could notice that the requesting party, they were more clear about their agenda. They were more clear about their underlying interest. They were more clear what they want to achieve out of this mediation. They want to have good results, better than the litigation. So they prepared well. What was appearing to me, their preparation was little bit more organized and more systematic. Ultimately, they sought clarification that there should not be any problem in the future, and the responding party, this was, I understand, was an authority. They were good in presentation of their concern. They were good in presentation of their underlying interest. They were good in understanding the underlying interest of the opposite party. They know the weakness and strength of the negotiation. But They were, like I mentioned in the case of Abhishek also, that the party was also required to be more serious, because it's a project of public importance. And when there is a public interest is involved, the authorities, they are required to be a little bit more concentrate, more organized, more authentic in their approach in the negotiation, because they are having the multiple responsibility to save the money of the government, timely completion, and most important, to take the prime consideration of the public interest that cannot be compromised. Otherwise, really delighted to see their performance, very happy, very pleased the way they presented their case, and the congenial atmosphere in which the entire mediation for around 2 hours was conducted. No no talk across the talk, no hot or heated argument with the opposite parties. They were understanding each other. They addressed the concern of each other and ultimately arrived at the settlement. That is the joint settlement. So my big congratulations and my best wishes to them for future also, and resolving such a complicated problem and marching and taking the parties toward the settlement. It was purely a team effort. Everybody has contributed to the best. Everybody has understand to the best, and really, really good. And they really deserve big applause, big, big compliment from, and I think from all the judges and particularly from me. Had I been the mediator or had I been the party, I would not have performed in the manner in which the parties and both the mediators, requesting and responding parties, they have actually performed. So when I am judging them, to nobody, not a competent person to judge their excellent and wonderful performance. Thank you very much.
So thank you so much. I'll not give my feedback because I know that we are running for short of time, but I would like to say all the best to all of you. And I'll agree with all the feedback which has been given by my co-judges. And it's good to see performing you all the problem which I have drafted. So that is a great opportunity for me. So thank you so much, and wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, judges.
Thank you so
Congratulations
much.
again. Mhm.
I think there's a lot of constructive and positive feedback. So thank you so much. I'll definitely keep it in mind.
May I have permission, Iram, to communicate to the parties, to the contestants?
Yes, yes. Yes, yes. Because now we have submitted everything, and now it is you can communicate in whatever manner you want. Yes.
Right. You've met during the competition a lot of practitioners. It is a profession that we're very passionate about. I am on that generation where I look forward to new and budding mediators and alternative dispute resolution practitioners. So feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, because I can provide personal feedback, because I have them written down and I'll keep it. So you're welcome. If you do want to reach out, I am available for the students, Iram.
Yeah, thank you so much, Josephine.
Thank you so much for that opportunity, ma'am.
Yeah.
Oh, you'll find me on LinkedIn.
I echo that. Just reach out on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Yes.
It was so fun to assess. I judged the request and responding part. You're only a point apart as well. For me, it was just really, really wonderful.
I wish that it
Excellent
would have
performance,
been
no
a
doubt.
physical one, so it would have been more fun. Yeah.
Iram, you are amazing the way you would accompany those students who wants to pursue in the international competition, like in Vienna or Paris or Prague. Yes. My hats off to you.
Thank
and
you.
I know you're doing a wonderful job for your country, because you really are passionate that new practitioners would take the litigation away from the courts.
Yeah.
And like Judge, I don't know how to pronounce your name, Your Honor. I'm pretty sure he would encourage a lot of budding new lawyers to steer away from litigation.
You know, Yesterday in one program, I mentioned that mediation is nothing. It is your journey from dispute adjudication to dispute resolution. And we need to participate in this wonderful journey. I was interacting with the young students. They were at the threshold of their career, either as a judge, academician, or lawyers, advocates, or they are about to take responsibility in different legal fields. I said, okay, now the time has come when the litigation has to give way to the resolution, particularly the mediation. And we are having the very enthusiastic mediator like Iram in our country. So she is spreading the message of mediation not only in this country but throughout the world with her
Thank you so much, sir.
tireless efforts. And
Tirelessly.
I always consider myself as her student, always.
Oh, sir
Oh.
is like very generous, and we keep on going together in many places. Like me and sir also. So he's very generous.
Recently, we were together in National Judicial Academy at Bhopal.
Yes.
So interacting with the judicial officer about the mediation, about the alternative dispute resolution mechanism, because the message is to be given across the country, particularly the young lawyers, young judges, young judicial officers, young students. And I'm delighted that now the students, they are taking interest in this, particularly in the mediation, besides different other ways and modes of the ADR mechanism, like arbitration, conciliation, judicial settlement. But now their more concentration is on mediation, because it's consider, and madam, I always consider your training in the mediation is like your personality development program. Apart from being, it will make you good human being also.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So I always consider my practice in the mediation for last many years, it transformed my personality completely as a human being also.
Yes.
Not as a mediator, not as a judge, not as a judicial officer, but as a human being also. So young advocates, they are the future of this country. So I can say our future is safe. Our future is in the safe hands.
Remember, competitors, when you have a mediation table, you're allowing people to bring in their historical chaos. Then you run them through time and stages where they get to reorder that chaos and create new meaning. So you come out the other side with a settlement agreement with maybe some partial historical meaning, whether it's positions or interests or needs, they're all important, but a lot of new meaning gets written into that settlement agreement. So it's the mediation process where people are right next to each other, where they get to reorder not only the emotional chaos that happened, because that's a true conflict with emotion tied to an issue, but also the intellectual issues. That's why in your confidentials, you want to talk about the 31% of the project that was completed. That's why in your confidentials, you want to talk about that this extension is for 5 years, because you're reordering meaning. So that's what I loved what you said, mediator, too. You're like, we've got to move. And that's what the client 59, you're like, you basically said, this let the business flow. And that's exactly what happens at the table. It moves. And then we get to a new agreement, which, if we're smart, will build consequences into that settlement agreement as well. So that's the power of the mediation table and the reiteration, the summary, the narration tool. My judges never narrated back to people in their courts what they heard. We do that. That's our superpower, the narration tool. And like Roland said, jump in and summarize when it's important to the parties, and maybe even ask them to summarize each other. We don't have to be on stage all the time. We just have to make sure that we're chasing clarity and accuracy, that the table is moving with meaning. And that's why you use your guest tool. Seems like, sounds like, looks like, feels like. For you, this is about this. So you use your guest tool to move after you capture the clarity and accuracy with your narration tool, with your summary tool. And it's this beautiful, brilliant process that nobody else does. Arbitration doesn't do it. Court doesn't do it. Settlement
Because
conferences don't do it. Nobody does it except us. We're the ones.
mediation in that regard is a superpower, because as his honor said,
Sorry for interrupting. But since we have to also begin with the valedictory ceremony at 5 p.m., we want all the judges to also do the scoring. I would request the participants, if they can leave the meeting, I will share the score sheet, share the screen here and show how the score sheet should be filled so that all the judges can fill it.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Didn't I
much.
send my score sheet? I did
Bye,
send it
everyone.
already.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. What did we do wrong?
I think everything.
Everything
Because
wrong?
this sheet is complex. Probably everything we did wrong.
I did the whole thing wrong at first. I was like, okay, 5, 4, 5, 4. What? Can you let us know if our score sheet is correct, first of all? Like, which one of it has it correct?
So what is happening now? They add up our marks and say the winner or something, or how does it happen?
Ma'am, is my screen visible?
It was for a
Yeah.
second, but then it went away. But are you able to let us know which judge has submitted a proper score sheet to help us a little bit?
Ma'am, I'll show you how to fill a blank score sheet.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm opening Ruwan sir's score sheet since it's blank right now. So
I don't think it's blank. I filled it, so it's blank. Okay.
yes, sir. Here, if each and every cell has to be filled out of 5. So here, if I'm going 4 out of 5, 3. So the total would automatically happen here, and the grand total would also automatically happen.
I did it like, did I put it in the wrong place or what?
Yeah, sir, did you download the sheet?
Yes.
Sir, if you have downloaded it, then we will not be able to see the scores. You just have to open it and then
So you want me to open it in the Google Docs and
yes, sir. You're not able to see the score sheet. I'll show it right now.
Go ahead and double click on it. See if it'll open up wide for us.
This
No,
is
on the
There it
hard
is. You got
drive.
it.
Yeah.
You have it.
yeah, I put all those marks.
Yes, sir.
And
So each and everything should be filled out of 5.
yeah, I put it and I actually send it to you guys.
Okay,
It
sir.
doesn't
I
need to be
emailed
sent,
it.
correct? You can see it as we fill it in. It's in live action. We don't need to send it. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. You don't have to download it, but if you have downloaded it, you can mail it us so that we can note the scores.
I already mailed it to you guys.
Okay, sir. We'll check it once.
Hopefully I have done the right thing because
I'll check each and every score sheet once again. So if there is some error, I'll inform right now only.
Thank you. We're in trouble.
it's always like that. In Paris, in Vienna, everywhere you're in trouble in score sheet.
Oh, when I was in Vienna last year, I got like sick. My sinuses filled up. I told Thomas, I said, I'm not coming back to Vienna. It doesn't like me.
Man, I'm thinking of I'm not sure whether I'm going this time because Paris was enough.
Yeah, that is such a big tournament. I've never gone there. Never been invited to go, and I'm happy not to do so. It's just a huge
It's
tournament.
good, but these students are very good too because one of the common things I see actually, that's why I said very common thing is to not develop in the agenda properly because even proper mediations, people don't do that. But if you do it, there's a lot of advantages actually. Properly do it.
Josephine, ma'am, your score sheet, each and every cell has to be filled out of 5.
Right.
Josephine, come on, do the right thing.
I think that the committee should take that, like if suppose if we will be going to fill every point, that will take a lot of time. So if suppose if out of 5 we have mentioned 4, then you should take it as a consolidated thing.
Ma'am, so you're saying if mentioned 4, then we have to convert it into out of 25 and then take that?
So that is not, it seems to be like, let's say